Hi, it's Mike here from Better Happy. A lot of business owners and team leaders find that looking after their team is a real challenge. It's stressful and it feels complicated. What I want to show you today is how, by understanding the big picture, you can completely shift your understanding of this and your approach towards it. You can realize that leaders, no matter what industry you are in a unique position to dramatically improve the quality of people's lives. When you understand and implement this, it's a win-win. It's a win-win for the owner, for the employees, for employee turnover, so for the business, and also for the way that everybody interacts with the clients and the way the business grows or the team grows. So getting this right, understanding your people, changing your culture in the right way, you just can't lose. There's no reason not to do it. So first of all, what we need to understand is what makes people tick, how do people thrive? If we've got a role that requires us to mentor, support, or get the most out of people, it's really important that we understand the basics of this. We don't need a PhD in psychology, we need to know the basics of what makes people thrive. So let's look at that with this very simple model over here. So at the base of this model, at the center, we've got knowledge. Humans need knowledge to thrive and to survive. And we know this is what helped us go from being tadpoles to being the dominant species on this planet. This is why as soon as our kids are born, we start to invest in teaching them and giving them the knowledge they need to survive and thrive. In a negative light, it's also why certain terrorist organisations that don't want females to develop will try and deprive them of education, because they know that when they've got knowledge, they can thrive and think for themselves and develop their own lives. So knowledge is really important. Then we've got congruence. Okay, and congruence, what I mean by congruence is that people are enabled and allowed to live their lives in a way that plays to their strengths, in a way that aligns to their core values. When we live a life that plays to our strengths, we feel good. When we're trying to live a life and go about our lives in a way where we don't get to use our strengths, we start to feel drained, we start to feel tired, we start to lose our focus in life. On top of this, we've got the environment in which we live, okay? And this includes the people and the culture. So humans are social creatures. We need other humans to survive. Even if you're fiercely independent, it's absolutely impossible for you to exist or survive without other humans. Okay, and our environment, the environment in which we live, incorporates those people, the attitude of the people, the culture, and also just the general way in which we live our lives. And we'll cover a little bit more how this has changed after we finish this model. And at the top here, we've got goals. So all humans are goal driven. We're only happy when we're moving towards our goals. Again, that's how we've gone from being tadpoles to being the dominant species that we are now. It's how we've created the various revolutions that we've had, all the way up to the technological revolution that we're going through now, because we're constantly moving towards goals. Now we've got different levels of goals, but we're only truly happy when we're moving towards some form of goal. In this model here, this is when a person is thriving, when the knowledge is there, the basic knowledge required to be healthy and to thrive, when congruence is there, when we live in an environment that supports us to be who we are and supports us to be healthy, and when we're moving towards goals. Throughout most of human history, which we'll go to in a moment, this is how things have looked. If you think back to hunter-gatherers, we lived in a tribe, so we had the basic knowledge that we needed to eat, to know what to eat, to look after ourselves, to keep healthy. We had to live to our strengths, okay? When the dominant need in life is survival, everybody will work to their strengths, okay? If we was all stuck on a desert island, we would find what people were good at and set them into those roles. We would not put people into roles that clearly weren't suited to them. The environment caused us to be healthy. It had to be. We had to be physically active, we had to eat healthy foods, we had to be socially connected, we had to work together as a community, and then that meant that we had some quite close-knit goals that we were all working together as a community. And when all these things line up, somebody's thriving in life, they feel good. So very brief overview of human history from about 200,000 years ago till up to very, very recently. So for 90% of human history, the world was full of this all over, millions and millions of micro tribes and communities. As time's gone on and as we've developed, these environments have started to get bigger and we've started to live in bigger communities. So first of all, we went from tribe to community, then we went from community to settlement, settlement to colony, colony to country. Okay, more recently, because of the technological revolution, we've now figured out how to basically create one giant environment. The whole world is connected now. We're not really restricted by country, by town, by family, we've got access to the whole world. This is great because it creates more opportunity, more choice and more freedom, which is what humans want, and we're goal driven, so we've consciously made this happen. Okay, but what it also means is that this environment has become huge. Okay, so you imagine that in context to the one we did earlier. This is a tribe living together in a small small town or whatever it might be. This is the entire world essentially, and the entire population of the world as well. It's a huge environment in which we live. Okay, and this means that the knowledge that people need to survive now is no longer the knowledge that was here. This was enough here, but people now need to know, because they've got so much choice, what food do I need to eat? What time should I be eating that food? How do I exercise? How do I look after myself? How do I set my goals in life? What am I moving towards? So the knowledge needs to be more specific, okay? And congruence. People are no longer required to live to their strengths to survive, okay? It just doesn't have to happen anymore. So what we've got is a lot of people in the world, and I'm sure you've experienced this in your team or your business, that are going about the daily life in a way that they are because they feel they have to. They're doing the job that they're doing because they have to, not because they want to, not because it ties into their strengths, okay? So they're living out of congruence. And this is a big problem, because when somebody's out of congruence, when they're not over here, they're not feeling good, they're not thriving, they don't feel their best. And we've also got the goal issue. So over here we had quite a clear goal as a community, and people have had clear goals for themselves. Over here we've got all the different goals that the world is telling us to think about. We've got what people are telling us on social media, we've got what society is telling us, we've got what we got told at school, we've got what our family are telling us we should achieve. You know, so these goals are they're so complex and so varied, and we don't really know what our goals are anymore a lot of the time. And if we're not moving towards our goals, we don't feel good. So if you're a business owner or team leader, I hope you've already started to see what the opportunity is here for a team. Although most of these tribes have gone or disappeared or significantly reduced, what we have got millions and millions and millions of across the world is businesses and teams. And every single one of these businesses and teams has got the opportunity to create this situation here where everybody within that environment is thriving. How do we do that? Well, we already know the answer. We need to make sure that when people come into our team, into our environment, into our business, that they are able to live in congruence, that they're able to establish what their core values are with themselves, and that they're able to live their lives in line with their strengths and their motivators, okay? If they don't do that, it's only a matter of time till they're drained, till they're not performing, until they don't want to be within your organization. Whereas if you help them establish that, even if you can't find a specific role for them to really do that, just by helping them establish that, you're going to mean the world to them. Then it goes without saying, we need to create an environment that supports people to grow. So we've got a growth-minded environment, we've got good management, and we've got good leadership. That doesn't mean that we need to be the most inspirational person in the world. It just means that we're having conversations with our people about what they want to achieve in their lives, what their strengths are, giving them the basics around exercise, nutrition, sleep, and mental health, and that we're creating an environment, a culture that actually supports the achievement of that. Finally, once we've got all that in place, which isn't that complicated, we need to make sure that people are moving towards goals, okay? And there's two major goals that people are going to be moving towards when they come into our organization or our team. That's their own goals, which are the most important to them. They're much more important than your goals, but also your goals as an organization, because when they know that they're playing a role in helping you achieve your goals, that makes them feel good. If you can help individuals with a very basic process identify what their own goals are in life and coach them in the basics to achieve those goals, it doesn't matter what job they're doing, it doesn't matter what career progression there is or isn't, they are going to value you highly. They're going to be around for a long time, and even if they leave because one of their goals is to go to a different career, they're going to leave on a positive. They're going to leave having a very good experience with you and your organization. You're going to have made a big difference in their lives. Every business in the world, every team in the world, every situation where there is groups of people working together, you have the opportunity to create this. It doesn't even need to be complicated. You can go away now and Google a few of the different things that I've talked about in this video and start making a huge difference in the way in which your culture and your organization run and develop. So if you're ever feeling overwhelmed or like it's complicated or stressed with your team and what's going on with your team, or issues that might be arising within your team, sometimes it's really good to just step backwards from the details, from the nitty-gritty, take a big view from up the top and just look at these bigger pictures. Where are we failing on here? Where are the issues on here? What can we do to improve one of these 4 steps? When you get that right, you'll start to notice that it's not as complicated or as stressed as you ever thought it might be, and your people will start to appreciate you more than you ever imagined.